Yeah.
You always pour your coffee, like, literally as soon as I say we're hitting record.
Live
There it is.
from... It took them 3 extra days to pick up my recycling palooza. My whole world's crumbling, man.
Why? Just 4th of July just screwed them all up?
I don't know, they just suck. It's yet another manic Monday edition of Business Pants, joined by the Lord of BS, Matt Mascardi. Woo!
I am full of BS today.
In
I went
today's
down deep rabbit holes I don't want to talk about.
soggy marshmallow called July 10th, 2023, top 10 sexy story updates, and a new segment called Director of the Week. Is that
You
true?
have that now.
Are both those things true?
Both of those things are true. Not only are they true, you've heard us talk about something called board sabermetrics. Well, we don't talk about that anymore for reasons that were
Because
what
of
we
the
say
U.S. mail.
instead is go to freefloatanalytics.com and you yourself can pick your own director of the week any week because most of it's free.
Yeah, and if
So
anyone
do that.
actually listens to this and actually cares about what Matt's saying, you can actually even direct message me on LinkedIn. We can do it together. I'll show you how to get in there.
You
We
tell
can
us
play
who
around.
the director of the week is. The listener director of the week. I would love that as a set.
You want to know anything? If you want to know about a
You can
company or director, I'll give you a little mini report.
You could stay totally anonymous. But let's jump into it because you got 10 things to talk about. I've
And
got
I was
like
just kidding.
1
I'm not going to
second
help you with
worth of
anything. Yeah.
Here we go. Your favorite American news music.
I don't mind it on a rainy day, actually. I hate it when it's sunny out.
Oh, I didn't. It's so sunny. It's such sunny music.
From the top, Threads, now the fastest growing app in history with 100 million users in just 5 days. That sounds like us. That sounds like our audience
Like our
trajectory.
listeners. Yeah,
Although
it's our listener base.
Although we were recently, again, we didn't pay for this. And Matt, I think you
No.
posted about it on LinkedIn. We were recently called the 19th best business news podcast. Was it best or what was it?
We were it's the business news podcast to listen to.
Yeah, okay. So you hear that,
And
people?
we ranked 19th. Oh, there's the audience.
But we're telling people who already know about us. How do we tell everyone else?
We're 19th in the world.
Pretty
In the
impressive.
entire world. We beat out the BBC. We beat out the Wall Street Journal.
Yeah.
We did not beat out the South Carolina Business Review.
Well, they're
We
good.
That's
They've been good
legit.
for a long
They beat
time.
us. They were
Yeah.
11th. We were 19th. So
They got that sweetened tea down there. That's what makes them so good. Threads has overtaken ChatGPT's record. So how long did it take ChatGPT to reach 100 million users, do you think?
it wasn't
Took
that
Threads
long.
5 days.
It was a couple months or something. Wasn't
Okay,
it?
well, you had to get the answer. You had to get it exactly right. It kind of kills the conversation when you answer it exactly right.
I don't know.
2
It
months.
was like a story everywhere.
2 months.
Like it was a story everywhere. What's most impressive about it is I signed us up for Threads,
Ooh.
and I intentionally I'm off of Facebook. I'm not on Instagram. Like
I only do
Free Float
Instagram to
is,
look
but
at the local bagel places to see if they have like a deal.
I got on Threads and I was a little bit excited to be on what felt like adult Twitter. Like
This is what everyone's saying. I did see a headline that said that Musk is making Zuck look cool again.
It's not false, and I hate it. I hate that it's
I know,
happening.
it's weird. How about this? How about the second headline? Musk hits below the belt with latest Zuckerberg attacks. I think you've made these jokes actually on this show. This is how disturbed I am by our current world. You've made these jokes with tongue in cheek, obviously, in jest, in a satirical mode. But here we go. Elon Musk now tweeting, calling Mark Zuckerberg a cuck.
Oh, I would not make that joke.
And well, we did call it Cucker Tarleson.
Yeah, well, that's just because we put
I know.
the C in the T.
Okay, but I'm just saying, and proposed a literal dick measuring contest. Those are his words.
Oh.
So you always refer to it. You always say this on the show, and I always feel very uncomfortable because I hate that kind of stuff. But here we go. This is it. This is the world. This is the CEO world.
What happened when they were 13? What is the trauma?
Isolation.
We're at
Loneliness.
The point. where the richest man in the world and the man that has literally the largest monopoly on communication in the
Don't
entire
put
world.
this on Mark Zuckerberg. This is not Mark Zuckerberg. This is Elon Musk entirely.
I know it's not Mark Zuckerberg. Zuckerberg agreed to a cage fight, though.
Okay, but this is like this is
giant
the exact
babies.
this is the exact reason why everyone loves Zuck again, or at least likes him, because
Look,
of this
Vivek,
kind of stuff.
Vivek, you were on the show. I invited him back because this is supposed to be ESG month in Congress.
I've invited them back several times. I keep getting
Vivek, you were
ignored.
on the show, and we asked you a question about there were more female CEOs than ever before in history. How did he feel about it? And he said he didn't care. He only cared about merit. Well, what is the merit
What does that mean?
of
Yeah.
two of these idiots actually measuring each other's penises potentially for what? What are we solving? What is that meritocracy? Should we put them on another board? Should we what are we doing here? What merit got them to this place where they can
to
do this?
Zuck's credit, he's a director only at Meta.
Yeah. Well, Musk is a director at Tesla, but
No,
also
Musk,
owns
yeah.
5 other companies. So
Right.
yeah.
Moving on. This one's a little lengthy, but we haven't covered this, and I feel like we should, give news to our Chinese fans.
Yeah.
Which we have several of. I'm muting something because it's bugging me.
Okay.
The Chinese authorities announced a fine of nearly $1 billion for the financial technology firm Ant Group nearly 3 years after they halted the company's plan for a record-breaking IPO. Okay.
I remember that, yeah.
Here's why I'm bringing it up. This is a big corporate governance thing. So 3 years ago, the People's Bank of China, which is the country's central bank, said that Ant had been indifferent to the law. I don't really know what that means. Does that mean indifferent to the people who actually own the company? What does that mean, indifferent to the law? I don't really know that one.
I mean, is that like a kid that throws like the wrapper from their Pall Malls on the ground? Like I'm casually indifferent to littering, and then they smoke a cigarette. I don't understand that.
One of the things the central bank ordered was to bolster corporate governance.
That's ridiculous.
The investigation into Ant began when founder and billionaire entrepreneur Jack Ma publicly criticized Chinese regulators in 2022, and then he disappeared. Remember, he disappeared.
Yeah. He ghosted the world for like a month.
Or someone ghosted him. No, this was he disappeared really for years, didn't he? Or he stayed out of the public eye for years.
He popped up and then he went back into the underground. I remember it was like a couple weeks where everyone was like, "Where is Jack Ma?" I think we even did some joke content around it. Said he was like under someone's couch.
Last month, in a story that we did not cover, Alibaba, which owns Ant Group, there was a shakeup at the top. 2 longtime executives who helped found the company were put in charge. So Eddie Wu is the new CEO of Alibaba. Daniel Zhang is stepping down, and the new chair is Joe Tsai, who also owns the Brooklyn Nets, I believe. So all that's going on at Alibaba. They are restructuring the company into 6 different companies, each one with its own CEO and board of directors, which to me does not simplify. I know that this is meant to bolster corporate governance. To me, this makes it all the more difficult to understand what the hell's going on. But
feels
am I
very
wrong?
Chaebly, doesn't it?
Doesn't it?
Feel
Yeah.
very yeah, it's like North
but
Korean
the-
or South Korean chaebles.
But the Chinese government's concern was a monopoly, right? Yeah.
Aren't they a monopoly?
I know, this is where I'm confused. But this is why I like to.
I don't.
This is why I at least like to try to cover this story, because these are, these Chinese companies are rated by typical ESG ratings industries, are they not?
I don't think it's a monopoly that's their concern. I think it's a competitor, right? Like,
But who's competing? What do you mean?
Alibaba is like the largest provider of like a whole bunch of stuff in China, right? Like, and they've grown to such a state where they're wouldn't they
Competing
be
against the
harder
government?
to control, right?
Yeah.
Aren't they kind of a government competitor in a sort of adjacent way, not a direct way?
It does feel that way. Ant Group, which processes digital payments, right? They own a platform called Alipay, serves over 1.3 billion users, which essentially is the population of China.
It's a lot. And I can't pretend to know the nuances of the Chinese market, but I do know that the Chinese government does seem to step in whenever any company gets too large. They did the same thing when there was a lot of conspicuous wealth amongst, some of the founders of some of the larger companies in China. They were tamping down what they could say, how they could say it. And this is Jack Ma among them. I think there's an effort to, like, you don't upstage the government. You're not bigger than the government. It's like we don't want a Musk here. We don't want somebody who just says whatever they want, buys whatever they want, does whatever they want, and then basically becomes a cult.
Yeah, I mean, according to I'm looking at the MSCI report on Alibaba. It's not technically a government controlled company. It's a privately held company, which I think a lot of people in the West kind of sneer at and mock. But I guess I mean, really, they're acting no differently than the current FTC commissioner. Her name is Lana Khan, I believe. Lena Khan.
Lena
She's
Khan,
going
yeah.
after Amazon currently, right? And Meta, actually. Is it any different than that?
No. I mean, when I look at their board on freefloatanalytics.com, they're
Yes.
60% connected, and
Mm-hmm.
it's really just two people. It's Yong Zhang, who I think the Americanized version is Daniel Zhang,
Mm-hmm.
and it's
Zhang
Joe
is
Tsai.
Zhang is stepping down as CEO.
He's stepping down currently. So those they were the controlling parties. So the data looks like they're independent, but they
Right.
operate in China. We know that when China says to Google shut down access to something, Google shuts down access to that thing. That's not doesn't work like you say no to the government, especially when the potential market is a billion people, right? You don't say no.
So that's what's going on over there, Alibaba.
I
That was
don't know
for our
what to make of
Chinese
that.
fans. I know you did not enjoy
Um,
that.
Blah,
yeah.
Yeah.
blah, blah.
BT CEO Philip Jansen to step down.
BT.
Yeah. Here's why I pointed this out. Here, and
Yeah,
I want to
why?
spend and we should. I like to talk about these European companies. This is a telecommunications company out of the UK. I'm looking at the free flow analytics stats. This is our stats. Their current CEO, Philip Jansen, is stepping down. He is number 3 in total influence on the board. Their current chair,
Whoa.
Adam Crozier, is number 6 in total influence at 7%.
Whoa.
The UK boards, Chinese boards, they're just so different than what we come to expect here in the US that I just wanted to throw a few into the news headlines.
I like that. I like a weak CEO chair combination running my board. That's British Telecom, right? Is that what that is?
Yeah, BT Group.
I like
I
that.
will tell you
Wow.
this, that if anyone cares, or if you're betting on this, that there are 2 independent directors right now who, according to our data, actually perform quite well. They are Matthew Day and Ian Michael Cheshire. They're both about 60 years old. They both outperform their peers by wide margins across all of our performance metrics. So maybe BT Group should look at those 2 as potential successors.
Oh, like successors. Oh, sure. Well, that would be if there was a meritocracy, you might do something like that.
Well, let's see
Are
what
you
happens.
listening, Vivek?
Yeah, let's see what happens. One of them, I think it's Key was actually a former CEO at a telecommunications company. So
Oh,
why
he's
not?
not
Why not Key?
qualified then.
All right. Moving on, Bob Iger likely to seek a contract extension beyond his current one. It's supposed to expire at the end of 2024. But Matt, we are once again back in a succession planning disaster at Disney. Like we can't escape it. It's really weird. Why?
Look,
Why only Bob Iger?
the current chair of the board is Mark Parker. He is the executive chair at Nike also. So it's
The
not
former
like he's got nothing to do.
former CEO at Nike. Is that
Former
right?
CEO of
Why
Nike.
not? Why not just
current
him?
executive chair.
Let's just give it to
And
him.
he's the head of the nominating committee.
What's
What
wrong
do
with
we-
Parker? Nike seems
I'm
everyone
sure
loves
they must
Nike.
have asked him, and he said, "Forget it. There's no way. Forget it."
Really?
I
I don't get this. I mean, it just seems to be this is the Chapek thing was a disaster. We can't do an internal succession plan again. It's going to blow
know
up
what the
because
amazing
Iger's going
part
to
is?
swoop back in. What?
the worst part about this is it's perfectly set up to be a glass cliff, right? Like right now,
Okay.
the conservatives in this country are like targeting
Oh yeah,
Disney
big
because they're
time.
so woke and all that stuff. Every headline is about, park attendance not being high enough and
Hmm.
Disney losing money in their movies because they're so woke. So they're set up to when Iger steps down, whoever replaces him, it's going to be terrible. And the likelihood that they choose a woman or a person of color now is much higher than it has ever been in the past
Well, it
because
should be
we're a little
high.
bit more open to that sort of thing, right?
As we
And then they're going to
reported,
get
yeah.
accused of being super woke, and that person is destined to fail just so Iger can what? Come back again? I think Iger is just avoiding the inevitable. He's playing the political cycle. I bet you
Well,
this is him being like, by 2024 the election won't, we won't be out of the woods, right?
right.
We're going to be squarely in the middle of this, and we need to find a successor in an environment where we can hire the best person, and that means actually looking at other people than white men, and therefore we can't hire anybody other than a white man without being accused of being woke.
Well, let me
So
tell you this. Let me
maybe
tell you
that's
this,
why.
Disney. As we've reported here several times, Disney is a female-led board with female-led influence. They've leaned into that. I applaud
Yeah,
them for
that's
that.
correct.
Yes, Susan Arnold, chair, just stepped down, so those numbers are going to change a little bit. As you said, Mark Parker now the chair. So these numbers, are going to swing back a little bit towards men. But this is a company that its next CEO absolutely should be a woman.
Yeah.
Glass Cliff notwithstanding, I don't know what you're doing at Disney if you don't appoint a woman, really, because maybe you do need a woman to get out of this mess, this like leadership mess. Maybe we got to get beyond ego and
Well, do
do
we
something
think
else.
that
Yeah.
if the CEO of Twitter and Tesla and all these places was a woman, we'd be measuring our penis size? I'm gonna go with
All right.
no.
Moving on. And the story we talked about before, I used to make fun of the CEO of the United Kingdom, King Charles. I yelled
I
at
know
him a
that
lot
guy. Yeah.
because he refused to talk about climate change now that he was the king. Because I guess the kings aren't allowed to talk about politics. But
Stupid thing.
he's ditching tradition, Matt, and he's talking about climate change with the CEO of America, Joe Biden. So there you go.
Well, that deserves some tepid clap.
I mean, I can't believe this is like my
King
experience.
tradition.
As I said on Friday, I went to this large conference in Toronto, which we'll be talking about our conference experiences this Wednesday. Ari and Jesse will talk about Greenfin. I'll talk about Collision a little bit. My experience, I went to several DEI classes, master classes, talks, speeches,
Master classes.
and I felt like it was 1999 all over again because really the headline was like we need to talk about diversity. We need to talk like right? I mean like that's I just feel like we haven't progressed at all. That's what I feel like by this headline, these stories that they're excited that Charles and Biden are talking about climate change and we're screwed, right? Like that's the excitement is that they're just even talking about it. Like I think we're just 20 years behind here, no?
I mean, you got asked, like, why add diversity to the board? Prove to me that it matters. And that
Yeah.
was when? 15 years ago? Like, we're
Does
still.
seem like that now. Yeah, we're just
we
treading
are still having
water.
the same conversation.
And now
Yeah.
we're fighting off all the crazies, all the like crazy Vivics who think that a woman means that they're not the most qualified to be in the role. Just by hearing female or woman, he automatically swings to, well, it can't be a merit-based decision. So now we're fighting that off. So we're just screwed.
Do you ever watch the show The Witcher on Netflix? You ever seen
I'm
that
going to
show?
say no. I have never seen that show.
I
I
just
didn't even
read
know you
the-
watch TV. This is news to
I
me that you
don't
even
really,
watch
but
shows.
I read.
Yeah.
I wanted to know whether it was any good, so I read
Uh-huh.
Worth It or Woke.
Oh, so so if it's on the low score, which means
Then
it's
I
woke,
know.
then you're
I'm
gonna
just
watch.
reversing it. I'm just gonna watch it.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and it was like the big lament was like, of course the girl that's 90 pounds beat up the big strong man. How real is that? That's so woke. And I was like,
Okay.
she has like magic
has
and they're
powers.
fireballs. So
Yeah, I
what
was
are
gonna
we
say
talking about here? Like
Yeah.
we're really upset about that. She could
That's
throw
depressing.
a fireball. How
It's
fucking real
depressing.
is it supposed to be?
Starbucks violated federal labor law when it shut down a unionized store in Ithaca, New York. A U.S. labor judge just ruled last week. He said it was done in large part to discourage unionization efforts in Ithaca and elsewhere. I mean, Matt, 3 stores in Ithaca voted to unionize, and Starbucks. How did Starbucks respond? They immediately shut all 3 stores. How did
Yeah.
Starbucks not get more shit for
Not
this?
great. Yeah, they did get some shit for
I
this.
mean,
They'll get more shit for this.
there's an entire quote unquote woke generation that loves Starbucks, goes there every day. How do they not get more crap for that? I don't understand.
I don't really understand. Like,
It's ugly. It's embarrassing.
it's really stupid, and it's ideologically stupid. They wouldn't shut them down if Howard Schultz,
Mm-hmm.
the founder of Starbucks, did not ideologically oppose unions for his entire tenure. Like
Yeah.
historically, I don't know. This is stupid.
I like this one. This is like this is like a stakeholder capitalism headline. I like this one. This is talking about diners in LA saying that they are shocked that there's a 4% employee health care fee on their bills.
Whoa! I love
Now,
that.
right now, I remember a few years ago you were noodling with a system. It was like a score. What was this? Like a scorecard
It was
about
like
where
an
the
ingredient, a nutrition card.
Yes.
It was
Tell me about it.
nutrition card. So
Yeah.
I really, my dream, well, our collective dream,
Yeah.
is that you could go to like a Target, and on the
Mhm.
side of the building
Right.
would be like a nutrition card that tells you all about like the company, like the percentage of women that work there, the percentage of women in senior management, the percentage of like CEOs that wear salmon colored shirts, whatever like interesting stats we could get.
Mm-hmm.
But I love the idea of getting like a receipt that
Yeah.
says like, here is where all the
Yeah,
money
exactly.
got spent. Here's how it, like what we did with it, all that stuff. Putting this on there just shows how fundamentally stupid it is that in this country, like there's no other way to get health care except
Well,
to beg your employer for it.
that part is true, but the part that gets me is that so I'm guessing diners would not be shocked if part of the fee for their bill was like get better glasses or right, like get better plateware, but they're shocked about that part of the cost is going right to the workers'
No, it's
health care. I mean,
No, it says
why is that a
if they're
problem?
it was easier to pretend that you weren't paying for their health care when the bill was just for food. Like that 4% was just in
Yeah.
the food, right? Like, so when I
Right.
gave you a dish
I
of
love
pasta,
this.
you know how pasta costs like 20 cents to make
Yeah.
like
Well,
a bowl of pasta, right?
but a good restaurant is got to be homemade, so there's
You go to
labor
a
involved
really
with
good
that.
restaurant, you might be get up to $1 per bowl, right? We're not
Mhm.
talking about huge amounts of money for a bowl of pasta, but when you get charged $20 for it, where do you think that it doesn't just go? Like there's 30 people there that have to like cook the pasta, make the
Yeah.
pasta, bring you the pasta, say hello at the door, get you out. Like you're paying for the people, and included in the people is the healthcare fee. In fact, what they should do is they should stop calling it surcharges because it
Mhm.
makes it sound
Yeah.
like they're adding this on top.
Right.
Really, what they should do is do receipts of the charges that are incredibly granular. Like this was for that stupid shirt that says "Welcome to Porky's."
Yeah,
or
exactly. New
whatever, right?
placemats. What about
Like
those little
this,
things that you put under the table so it doesn't wobble? Like that's
this was for the 7
0.001%.
clams that we put in your pasta, right? Like I want that level of granularity.
What's odd to me is that you could have just raised the prices, I guess, by 4% or whatever math that you need to do to raise the price of the spaghetti, or you tell the diners that they're contributing to healthcare that they're upset about.
And then they're shocked. Then they're appalled.
yeah.
They're freaking the fuck out. Like, why am I paying for your health care? What do you think? You either pay for it by paying for the bowl of pasta, and then the owner has to pay for that. Pay for it by paying taxes, and the taxes pay for health care. Like, it gets paid for one way or the other. Like, how do you think when you go to work, you have health care? Because when we were at MSCI selling ESG data and ratings,
and spaghetti.
built into the ratings was the
Yeah.
cost of me
Right.
and my health care. I'm sorry,
And-
that's what it is.
And your delicious
should
marinara
surcharge.
sauce. Yeah.
We should show that on the receipt. It would be like your data actually costs 40 cents. Then we charge $400,000 for employees in healthcare.
Yeah, and what percentage does the CEO get? How much does Henry get out of that?
I mean, for every transaction, my dream was, and part of what I worked on for the nutrition card was to say for every transaction, every dollar,
Mm-hmm.
$1 million of things that get bought from this company, how much goes into the CEO's pocket?
This is why I bring this up, because to me this is like the great side of ESG data, right? Is that we just want more of it. I want the restaurant to tell us break down all the percentages. I'm happy to look at that receipt all day long. It's good reading material for later. And if you're on a date, you can discuss the receipt. You can talk about maybe which allocations you appreciate, which you don't. It's good for everybody.
Actually, my shock and anger would be, why did you only show me the healthcare fee? Show me the
Yeah.
entire employee cost fee. Show me
Yeah.
the management fee. Show me all the
Retirement,
fees. Don't
all
show
the
me
stuff.
that one, because then everyone's outraged that I paid 4 pennies per dollar for healthcare, when really like 30 pennies per dollar was to employees. 20 pennies per dollar was the guy who owns the place. Like, I
Or
want
yeah,
to know all that stuff.
or what about the guy who owns the building that you're paying rent to?
I'd be
That's
super
fine.
upset to see the other charges. This
Yeah.
one would then look pitifully low compared to everything else.
I love this. Show us all your data. Norway's new phosphate deposits are so massive they could guarantee solar power and electric cars for the next 50 years. They discovered 77 billion tons of phosphate rock.
Whoa. I like when we discover a rock. It feels so archaic.
Well, why does Norway get to have everything good? They only have like 6 million people living
No, no,
there.
no, no. Wait, back up.
Yeah.
2 things about
Oil.
Norway you should know.
Yeah.
Yeah, the entire country's built on oil.
Yeah, but now
lobbied-
now they find 77 billion tons of phosphate rock for their 6 million people.
No, they're going to sell it everywhere. But Norway, because
No, but
it's
I'm
an
saying like
oil-based
why
country,
are they so lucky? That's what I'm trying to get at.
they lobbied against calling gas natural gas. It was going to be excluded from one of the sustainable the sustainable sort of
Norway,
fuels
really?
in the taxonomy.
Norway.
Norway's one of the people that pushed back on it and said natural gas should be sustainable or low polluting or low carbon. False. Number 2, Norway in our data has the highest gender
Yep.
power gap of any country in the world. They have a mandate of 40% women on the board, and they have they give women no power. So yeah, they get stuff, and then what they do with it is they look good and don't actually do the thing.
Yeah.
I'm less and less a fan
I'm
of
with you.
Scandinavian countries.
I'm absolutely with you there on that one. And finally, let's end with an apology. Wizz Air,
I already hate it.
publicly traded company, just falls into our category. They are apologizing to a Ukrainian soldier with an amputated leg because they kicked him off a flight.
Oh, why did they kick him off?
I guess because he couldn't sit down properly, so for safety reasons, they had to give him the boot.
Did they put him on another flight, or they just be like, "Sorry"? What?
I guess because of his fake leg, because I can't pronounce that word, prosthesis, prosthetic leg. He couldn't sit down. I'm trying to picture this leg. Maybe it was like a joke giraffe leg, and they got the wrong one or something.
I mean, what? I don't know.
I don't
what's
really
going
get
on.
why. Yeah, I mean, why couldn't
You
he
can't-
take the leg off and put it in the over the check back the
I
carry-on
think now
luggage?
you're in territory. I think where's there's Emma.
Is that bad?
I think it is. All right, I want to do something now. It's my turn. And I'm going to build it off the story that you just covered about Starbucks.
Oh, I was hoping Wizz Air. Come on, one more
No,
Wizz
I
Air.
did not do Wizz Air.
legs.
This is the Director of the Week, brought to you by freefloatanalytics.com. Go to freefloatanalytics.com, sign up.
I'm there
You
right
can
now,
see the
yeah.
S&P 500 directors for free, how they perform and who's powerful. Starbucks has been doing some union busting.
I'm gonna go to Starbucks right
And
now.
I am looking at one of the directors whose name maybe you should know. Now, I'm not saying this dude union busted, but I will say that this is somebody who's been on the board since 2019. He's part of the board that brought back Howard Schultz. He heads the Audit and Compliance Committee, and he sits on the Human Capital Committee.
Yep.
He listed in the skills matrix. So I don't know if you've ever read a company skills matrix. Now, Damien, I know you have. I'm talking to
Oh
the
yeah,
listener.
I love it.
When you go to a proxy statement that these companies issue. These are public statements. They actually, a lot of them now, will list out the skills of each of their directors in categories. He listed in his skills human capital management, managing people.
Okay.
That's one of his core skills.
It's a good skill, especially
Side
at a
note,
company like Starbucks. Yeah.
Satya Nadella sits on this board, Starbucks, did not list human capital management as a core skill. Makes me a little nervous if you're a Microsoft employee. Double side note, Starbucks lists in its skills matrix as one of its skills gender, ethnic, or national diversity. Is that a skill?
Wait, say that again. What's the skill? Gender.
Starbucks lists gender, ethnic, and national diversity as a skill in its skills matrix. It doesn't have a separate thing
It's not,
for
it's
that.
not a skills and diversity metrics or skills
Nope,
and.
it's skills matrix.
See, now you're triggering the right. Now you're going to trigger the right.
Well, I'm just saying they did put a check mark next to all the women for that people that identify as a woman as a gender skill. I'm just confused, Starbucks. You can separate those things. You can have skills and you can have gender and ethnic diversity as separate goals. It doesn't have to be a skill. But the person I chose today is the VP and COO at Nike, Andrew Campion.
Oh, another Nike person. Okay.
Another Nike person.
What
Where's
about
my
Andrew?
cheering?
Yeah.
Oh, there's everybody. Andrew. Our data has Starbucks as a totalitarian board.
Oh,
Run
absolutely.
by its ex-founder Schultz. He has
Yeah.
68% of the influence on that.
I don't
board.
want anyone to forget that Schultz. I know there's been a quote unquote new CEO, Laxman Narasimhan. Schultz is still on the board. He still dominates this company. I mean, he is the company still.
It's a joke if you think because he stepped down and made Laxman
Stepped down where? He just went to a different
stepped
room.
down to the board to tell
Yeah.
everyone else what to do.
Right.
Okay? So we have them as a totalitarian board. The team's strength is earnings. They do a good job earnings, but their weakness is controversial business activity like a history of union busting. The team win rate is 0.155, which is abysmal. Their batting average is one of the worst in the S&P 500. And Campion has 3% of the influence on this board and a team worst batting average of 0.404, just below average, but not great.
I'll add to this that for an S&P 500 company again that operates in the public eye, in the woke world, right?
Yeah,
They are just shockingly without female representation on their board. Only two directors, and not only 2 out of 8. So that's what 25% of the board. They only have 10% of influence, but only 2 directors. One of them is the chair, yes, Melody Louise Hobson, but still, that's shockingly low.
They have a 15% power gap between women and men on that board. 15.
Which is only 2 women in general. It just seems there aren't many S&P 500 companies these days that don't have at least 3 women anyway. So
Not great.
Yeah.
That's your director of the week, Andrew Campion. Put that on your wall, and whenever you read a Starbucks story about union busting, ask, what did Andrew have to say about
he
that?
actually
He sits on these committees. This is one of his core skills.
one of the things I love about free flow analytics is that you click on the director's name. Well, first of all, I love that when I go on to Starbucks, I can see how much influence Howard has immediately. Okay, this is not a subjective thing. We have objectively we've captured this data. But when you click on Andrew Campion and you open up, you get a beautiful picture of him, like a little baseball card.
Yeah.
And you know what? He looks like a cross between Bob Iger and Vince McMahon. So I think he should. I think he should be taken more seriously.
That's all we got. That's Damian Ross. I'm Matt Moscardi. That was a Monday roundup of something or other. We're going to be back again on Wednesday. We have a really busy Wednesday because there are congressional hearings on ESG, because there's ESG month, because there's lots of anti-woke stuff happening, and we got to do a conference roundup. But until then, we'll talk to you later.